Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and one of the questions I got the other day from someone who hasn't seen what I've been doing lately was, Jason, why are you doing sumo deadlifts? Weren't you historically, did you not like it? Weren't you a conventional purist and everything else? Yeah, that's true, and that had to do with my powerlifting background and me kind of buying into that tradition where a lot of powerlifters say, oh, sumo's cheating and everything else. And there comes a point where you have to look at what the best coaches in the world are doing. You have to look at what the best powerlifting coaches, the best strength and conditioning coaches and other people are doing. And what is it that we're finding? A large number of them use deadlift variations or they use a sumo deadlift. And a very large number of them mess with sumo deadlifts. They either do trap bar work, deficit work, or sumo work, or variations of the sumo. Right? This is what we see, and there's reasons for that. Look, I love the conventional deadlift, and it's a great exercise. But you guys see me pull sumo twice a week, up to twice a week. I occasionally do some deficit conventional work. All of my clients sumo deadlift. Does that mean I don't have some of my clients conventional deadlift? Or deficit deadlift? No, some of them do that too. Every single one of my clients sumo deadlifts at least once a week. Every one of them, when we do any sort of training volume with the deadlift, they sumo deadlift. Right? People who are coming to me and paying me for results, I make them sumo deadlift. So people would ask, why this change of heart? You know, I had to look at the way that it's performed. I had to look at the weight of the evidence. I had to look at muscle weaknesses and listen to what some very smart, very experienced coaches out there had to say. And there comes a point to where you, as a coach, as a lifter, as an athlete, have to listen to reason and step back and say, am I being stubborn? And is that stubbornness making me do something stupid? And I'm going to say, if when you're completely married to only the conventional deadlift, out of stubbornness, you are being stupid. Look, it's a great exercise. The problem is that it limits volume. And in some cases, it may not even be ideal for mobility. In other words, when you get very, very good at the conventional deadlift, anyone notice it doesn't always carry over to other things perfectly? No, it doesn't. Other things carry over to it. If you get strong at a sumo deadlift, you can usually conventional a lot. Usually the back squat carries over really well to the conventional. A lot of lifts carry over to the conventional. Conventional doesn't always carry over to other things. And it's because you can't get that much training volume with it. It doesn't build the best hip mobility and other things, right? The sumo deadlift, when you look at it fundamentally, a couple of things happen. Number one, that much, much wider stance completely changes the mobility and the use of things like your adductors and your abductors. It affects the way the quads are used. Allows you to apply outward force with your feet. It does a lot of things. It also changes your back angle and your ability to get your knees out further and a straighter line of pull from the floor. Okay? Due to a lot of these factors, it puts less stress on your lower back, and it's better for overall mobility. All right, that mobility from it carries over to other athletic endeavors. All right, that's part of it, and we'll go back to the lower back in a minute. If you need to be really good at a sport, a wider stance is more useful. All right, that's one of the benefits of one-legged exercises. All right, we get better left to right strength balance with that wider stance by practicing it, because we're forced to. It's harder to use compensatory strength on a sumo deadlift. You're required to push more evenly through both legs. All right, that carries over very effectively to various sports. All right, it helps with strength imbalances. It also helps with strength imbalances as far as the legs and mobility in certain positions more. A lot of people who have weak hips are complaining about hip mobility and everything else. A sumo deadlift helps. In fact, if you find that you can't do a sumo deadlift with a weight that's even close to your conventional, like let's say you can conventional deadlift 400 pounds right now, and you walk in and try to sumo pull 315, and it is hard. You have major mobility and imbalance issues. I promise you do. All right? And they'll be fixed as soon as you get good with the sumo. It has to do with strength balance. And you know what? Are we talking about, do you want to just be good at powerlifting? You want to be a more well-rounded athlete? You know what? I think the sumo brings a lot to the table for that. Now, let's come over to the recovery aspect. It's easier on your lower back. It is easier on your lower back. There is less stress placed on your lower back. Well, what does that mean? What does that do for us? That's usually one of our limiting factors in how much training volume we can do with an exercise, lower back stress. If I can do 5 more quality reps on an exercise every week because it reduces the stress, whether it's shear stress, axial loading, whatever stress is on the lower back, if I can do 5 more quality reps or 5 more heavy reps, 5 more limit set reps every week, what does that do for my training? Well, that means I can train more. If I can train more with the same rate of perceived exertion and the same amount of total muscle fiber recruitment, do I get bigger and stronger faster? Potentially, yeah. People say, well, only if you're within your maximum recoverable volume, but it's easier to recover from. So the reason you can do more of it is because it doesn't hit your maximum recoverable volume quite as hard. This becomes even more true when we start messing with other variations of it. It becomes even more true. This exercise is easier to recover from. Therefore, we can do more of it. If we can do more of it, we get more training in. For people who are trying to push their training volumes near their limits, that makes sense. For people who are trying to be more well-rounded and more balanced left to right, so unilateral balance, better athletes, everything else, the exercise makes sense. I've had to come full circle on this, and it's not a case of saying, oh, Jason's flip-flopping. You know, when you flip-flop based upon the weight of the evidence towards something, and you've held on to a stubborn stance, and you look at the evidence, you look at the proof, you look at what the best coaches and experts in the world are doing in the real world. I'm not talking about in a study. I'm not talking about in a classroom. I am talking about the best coaches who are coaching ultra elite athletes. And when you look at what they're doing and they're implementing things successfully and they can explain why it works, you have to change your stance. When you are trying to be a good athlete, you have to take that on board. You have to. Even if it requires you to get up and admit that you were wrong. Take someone like me, an audience of over 110,000 people, 75 million views on this channel. I had to admit months ago I was wrong. Sorry about that, guys. That's a humbling thing to have to do, isn't it? It's a humbling thing to have to do. Because people call you out on it. I still have people calling me out on it now, even though I said, hey guys, I was wrong. I'm having to change my stance. My people who are paying me as clients, who are paying me for results, I have them do it. People who are giving me money to get results, you damn right I'm going to have them do it. Because they're paying for results now. If I know it's better, I can't be stubborn anymore. My paying clients, I have to do what works, even if it doesn't fall within what I think a purist should do. Right? I have to. They're paying me for their results. And if they don't get results, they're not going to pay me anymore. Well, it's a little bit different at that point, isn't it? Your stubborn ideals start going away. But, you know, you have to get in front of your audience like I did and say, hey, guys, I was wrong about that. Knowing people are going to say, man, you flip-flopped. You flip-flopped. You just changed your mind. Like, yeah, I did. Because I was wrong. I was flat wrong saying, oh, I don't like this anymore. I just want to do conventional, right? I was wrong. Sometimes you have to own it. But I've been training the sumo for months and months and months now. I have every single one of my paying clients do the sumo. I'm going to go out on a limb and say everybody should probably sumo deadlift. Now, the exception might be some athletes who want to do some low handle trap bar deadlift. I said, okay, fine. It's fine for some athletes. Everybody else should sumo deadlift. I do it. All my clients do it. And this is coming from someone who used to say, sumo sucks. I don't want to do sumo. It's not the purest way to deadlift. That's coming from me, and I'm even saying, hey guys, you should sumo deadlift. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.